This conversation was recorded August 21st, 2010, at the home of William E. Harrer. The interviewer is John Harrer.
Tell me about your dad. What do you remember about him? What was he like?
To be honest with you, I don't remember my dad. I remember when he was in the garage and he got carbon monoxide poisoning there. He was a tinner, and he had his own machine shop, and he built gutters and stuff like that out of, and he had his own brake, and then he had a car in a smaller garage, and it was during the winter time. He was fixing his car in the garage, in the small garage, and he had the motor running, and he got carbon monoxide poisoning. And I remember all the excitement, but I was about 5 years old, so I don't remember too much of him.
Did Grandma and Grandpa meet here in the United States, or did they marry and then come over here?
Oh no, they were both in the United States. Yeah, my mother already had Aunt Ag, her daughter. I really don't know where they met, but that's why Agnes is 10 years older than I am. Then she had 4 children after that. Frank, me, and Bob, and Mark.
Do you know how they met? Your dad and mom met?
No, I don't.
Did you know your grandparents?
Very little. I think I went over to my dad's side grandmother probably once. They lived in Chicago, so they weren't too far away. Well, when my dad got sick and he had to go to a sanitarium, Grandma Harrer, she wanted my mother to split up the kids, the 5 children, and she wouldn't do it, so Grandma Harrer said, okay, you take care of yourself, and we never saw her again. So that was it. And on my mother's side, I never knew my grandfather or grandmother on that side. There was an Aunt Irene, my mother's sister, that would come visit us probably once a year. That's all I know of them. Oh, and she had a brother too, so Uncle Rudy, we went to his place in Savannah, Illinois once in a while, but not very often.
You were living in Evanston all this time?
Yeah. I was born and raised in Evanston, and that's the only home I know.
What was your earliest childhood memory?
I don't know. It's a pretty hard question.
What's your favorite childhood memory?
We had a 2-story home. We had an attic, and we had a basement. Underneath our front porch, there was a place where we could play. We'd play underneath the front porch, and different games. And then up in the attic, well, there was a big trunk. One day we opened the trunk and we found my dad's sword. There was a big sword in there. And it was still in the scabbard. We didn't know that. We said, yeah, this thing's dull, you know. Yeah. We didn't know you could take the sword out of the scabbard and it would have been a deadly weapon, yeah. Good thing we didn't know that. My mother finally found that we were playing with it and took it away from us. So.
And where was that sword from?
I really don't know. He must have belonged to something.
And when you were playing under the porch, was that just with your brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
What was a typical day like growing up?
When I was about 9 years old, I got a paper route. It was at night after school, and I delivered papers. That's the first job I got fired from because I couldn't read it got dark and I couldn't read the numbers on the house if the house had any numbers. Anyway, I got fired from that job.
Did all the kids try to have a little job like that?
Oh yeah, we all worked. We all did something. Try to make a dime. And then I delivered for a drugstore for a long time.
What age was that?
Probably 15, 16.
Did you have to get your driver's license to be able to drive a car?
Never had a driver's license. When I was in the service, a friend of mine, he said, hey, there's an opening in the motor pool. Why don't you put in for it? I said, I don't know how to drive. He said, uh-oh. But heck, I could have caught on to that really.
So when did you learn how to drive?
After I got home.
Who taught you? You just stick you in the car and say, here?
Yeah, nobody taught.
That had to be kind of tough with the clutch and the gear shift.
Yeah. I remember one time I was over on Howard Street and pulled out traffic. And I pulled out going around them. Everybody was hollering at me, you can't do that, you can't do that.
Did you like going to school?
Yeah, Central School was just down the street from us, probably a block and a half. So we did good there. We could walk to school. And then junior high school, it wasn't that far. We walked to junior high school, probably 7, 8 blocks. And then high school, it was a little bit farther, probably 2, 3 miles. But we'd walk to high school sometimes because the only transportation was the city bus, and if you couldn't afford the bus, you had to walk. And so we got up early and walked. I got up early anyway because I had a paper route and delivered papers.
So you got another paper route?
Yeah, in the morning, delivered papers. Got up at 5 o'clock, delivered papers before we went to school.
And then you enlisted in the 11th grade or the 10th grade? You finished the 10th grade?
Finished the 10th grade.
You must have been...
I was 17. I was always one step behind.
Were you?
Yes.
Oh, because...
Maybe 2 steps behind.
Oh, and maybe because your birthday was so late in the year, maybe that they started you a year later then? You maybe did kindergarten at 6?
I think I was held back a couple of times. Yeah.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
What was the first car your family owned?
Oh, we didn't have a car after my father got sick and was put in a sanitarium. We didn't have no transportation at all. He had a truck and a car when he was tinsmith shop, all in the backyard of our home.
Now, you told me the story of one of the boys had seen your dad later after he got out of the sanitarium?
Yeah. Well, Frank saw him. I wouldn't have recognized him if I saw him.
Did he actually have an encounter with him, you think, or did he just see him?
No, he just saw him. So he knew he was still alive. Otherwise, my mother just told us he was passed away. But Frank knew better because after a while he was paying life insurance on his dad. When we were living in Pico Rivera, one day he come over and he gave me this life insurance policy and he said, it's about time you start paying that. So I said, what's this? Your life insurance on your dad. I said, how can I have life insurance on somebody that's dead? You know, and he's not dead. So, okay. I think we were living in Pico Rivera when he did pass away, and my mother went back for the funeral. We didn't go.
She did go back for the funeral after all those years?
Yeah.
That's fascinating. What was that conversation like with Frank when you found out he wasn't dead?
Yeah. Well, heck, I had a clearance because I was working in the defense. Well, I was making parts for the first orbiter in Pasadena. I had a secret clearance through them, and I told them my dad was dead, and they never disputed it. So,
what was your first car?
my first car was a Ford.
How old were you when you got it?
We were living in Pico Rivera at the time.
Did you get to keep the car that you drove out from Evanston on?
Uh-huh. That was my father-in-law's Buick. It was a 38 Buick with a 41 engine in it. And he said, take it out to California and sell it. Well, it was all rusted underneath the door and all that stuff. But it was a good car, and it got us to California. So.
Did you come out on Route 66?
No, we went down through Arkansas because we stopped in and saw Clifford Holmes, went on our way out. And he said, "Where are you going, Bill?" I said, "We're going to California." And he come out and stayed with us for a while when he first moved out. I think he had 3 or 4 kids at that time. And he stayed with us till he could find a home.
Clifford was in the Marines with you?
Yeah, Clifford was in the Marines.
Were you both privates?
Yep, we were both privates. But, he got to be sergeant because he went to Korea. He was in the reserve, and he wrote me and he said, "Bill, I made sergeant." Good. And he was in the reserve. And then they told him he had to go to Korea, and I think he had about 4 kids at that time. It didn't get him out of it. He had to go to Korea. He said one time the whole Chinese army marched by him, and he was laying real quiet down in a ditch. It seemed like the whole Chinese army was marching past him. And he thought he was a dead man, but he made it okay.
So you drove that car out to through the South. Did you cross Texas in that car, or Oklahoma?
Cross Texas, Oklahoma.
That was a heck of a drive.
Yeah.
Do you know how long it took you?
Oh, I don't know. Altogether, probably about 5-6 days, probably.
That's all?
Yeah.
So you guys were anxious to get out here then?
Yeah. The longest drive was coming down the Grapevine. I said, "This is the longest doggone road I've ever seen."
When you were growing up in Evanston, you guys didn't have a phone, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Did you have a telephone?
Yeah. 2126, I think the number was. Yeah, the phone was right out underneath the steps in our second-story home.
Was it for everybody's use, or?
Oh, yeah, everybody's use.
So it was at a rooming house and everybody used that phone?
Yeah.
What was the first airplane trip that you went on?
Flew from Guam to Saipan to see my brother. It's probably the first plane ride I had. And then I flew back in a cargo plane. I think they had seats in the cargo plane.
How long of a flight was that?
Not very long, maybe an hour.
Do you remember the first commercial airplane you went on?
Don't remember.
You took trains back from California to Evanston.
Took the train.
How long did you live in Evanston?
Till I was 17.
What about the trip? Was it North Carolina or South Carolina?
North Carolina. Asheville, North Carolina. That was in probably 1931, 32, something like that. My brother Frank was running around with the wrong crowd, so my mother decided to move to Asheville, North Carolina. And she took 4 of us, left my older sister with the people that were renting rooms in our house. Anyway, she was working for the city health department at the time. We took the bus to North Carolina, got off the bus, and my mother found out where the Catholic Church was, and she walked in and she said, "We need help." And they found us a house in Biltmore, North Carolina, and we had army cots for beds and not too much furniture. And we made a nice victory garden. And
why there? Was that as far as she could go?
I don't know. She must have fell in love with the name or something. I don't know.
And did you guys own the house in Evanston that you left behind?
Yeah, we owned the house in Evanston. So that was a good thing.
But
we owed plenty of taxes on it, so I don't know what happened there.
How long did you stay there?
We finally moved out to Biltmore, not Asheville. We stayed there probably a year, and then we moved out to West Asheville, North Carolina. We got a cheaper place to live, and it was in the basement of a 2-story home, and we took a bath in a big galvanized tub, and we heated the water on the wood stove, and the youngest got bathed first, and we had cornmeal mush for breakfast and sometimes dinner. But we all survived, so it was okay. And they had victory gardens, and we'd go out at night, help ourselves. We did our own picking.
Did Uncle Frank, did he start behaving himself?
Yeah. Straightened out real good. We went back and We lived in an apartment for a while because all the rooms were rented.
What was your favorite thing to do growing up?
Well, we played baseball. We played baseball a lot. There was a big, like a parking lot in the back of our home, in the alleyway, and we'd play baseball back there. And I remember one time, my brother Frank, he was sliding into third base and he broke his wrist. That was no good. So, but we had a good time. We'd go sledding in the winter and shovel snow in the winter and shovel snow in the winter and shovel coal down in the basement. Where my mother would buy coal and they'd dump it out in the front yard, and we all got a wheelbarrow and shoveled the coal back into the basement because it cost money for them to put it in your basement. So
when you played baseball, did you have a favorite position?
No, we just play different positions all the time. Yeah.
Was it like stickball kind of?
Yeah, it was kind of.
Did you spend your time doing a lot of different things, or was there just one particular thing that you...
Well, rode our bikes a lot and go down to the lake. The lake was about 6-7 blocks away, Lake Michigan. We'd spend the summer going down to the lake, go swimming. And in the winter, we'd go down to the lake and play like we were at the North Pole and play on the ice and stuff like that. Go ice skating, and they had a nice pond.
Did you go to the movies?
We'd go to the movies, delivered handbills, so I got in free. I got a free pass for the movies.
Did you have a favorite movie growing up?
Well, no, but the theater was only a block and a half away. That was good.
Do you have a favorite actor?
Not that I remember.
What was your favorite meal that your mom would make?
Dumplings. She made dumplings, real good dumplings. I don't know how she made them, but it was good.
Was she a good cook?
She was a real good cook. She'd make something out of nothing and make it taste good.
Did you have a best friend growing up?
Yeah, I did. His name was George Gardner. One summer we took our bikes and we rode out to Rockford, Illinois on our bikes.
How far was that?
Oh, I really don't know, but it was an all-day bike ride anyway.
So from Evanston to Rockford?
Yeah. And his grandmother had a farm out there, and we stayed there for a week. When I joined the Marine Corps on December 7th, he come running over and he says, "Bill's so lucky, he's so lucky." And my mother said, "I don't think so." And so he joined the Navy, and he was an ensign in the Navy, and they sunk his ship. So.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
The farm that you spent the week on, was that like with cows and horses and chickens type of farm?
Yeah.
They put you to work there?
No, we were pretty much on vacation.
Were you?
Yeah. We just hang out down by the river and go swimming and just take it easy.
Like Tom Sawyer?
Yeah, pretty much like Tom Sawyer.
Did you have a girlfriend?
Yeah, her name was Mickey. We'd sit on top of her garage roof and talk for hours.
Where did you meet her?
In high school. But then she moved away. I think she moved away while I was in the service.
Did you know her very long?
Oh, probably 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
Did you have any hobbies growing up?
We'd go over to a club, and I built a sailboat over there. And it's kind of like a boys and girls club. We make different things.
A sailboat, like a scale sailboat?
Yeah, scale. It was pretty big. It was probably a couple of feet long anyway.
Is that what got you interested in kind of building things with your hands?
Yeah, it was fun. I had a good time. It was a good life.